gift cards available at RitaYanez.com.
Hi there, Aries. This is your monthly reading for the month of December 2015. Happy holidays to you. I hope everything's going well and that you're settling into your routines, especially in the parts of the country where things are very, very cold, as they are where I am. The atmosphere this month opens up with is the Three of Swords. I'm sorry about that. I know it's a little jarring to see, but it might not be as obvious as what it appears to be. The Three of Swords is a card that could indicate that there are some dynamics that involved more than you and another person. Probably involves three different people, three distinct groups, three different perspectives. Usually we see this in threes. The Swords, of course, being a card of communication, indicates that maybe even one of the people involved is almost a go-between or is liaison, but this is really not a situation that is that easily dismissed as just an affair, a broken heart, that kind of thing. I think in context of this month's astrology and with respect to the other cards that are in this reading, you'll see how this becomes kind of an obvious theme in whatever it is that this month is trying to demonstrate to you, whether by the path to what you wish would come to pass or the obstacles that challenges the flow of it will become more and more obvious as the month wears on. So the Three of Swords can often indicate, yes, that there is a matter of relationship that could have a third party involved, quite obviously. But it also is akin to situations where a family could be in the first stages, whether both parties are aware of it or not, of the beginning of the end, as it were, or that there are multiple parties involved that are trying to pull away from one of the parties as if to say, you know, we love you, but we can't be a part of this. Sometimes we see this when there's a business with three partners and a couple of the partners, if not one or two, are not on the same page or don't have the same goals envisioned. And if this is a card that would represent issues in the family like divorce or the beginning of those endings, this can indicate at times that there are children involved, or that, you know, it could be three children and your wife is just kind of the abstract definition of the heart, or your spouse, your husband, vice versa. And it could also indicate that something comes out of the blue and throws you off balance because you didn't expect for things to work out this way. We often see a level of vulnerability when a person draws this card in the context of a larger definition. Week 2, we have the Death card in reverse. So there is a matter of an ending that becomes more obvious again as time goes on, or it is that one or both parties even are resisting a transformation that just must needs be. This could be an indication that but for children, the constraints have become somewhat difficult to bear for one, both, or all parties involved. So this is one of those issues where the transformation is imminent, but for some reason it is still just dragging on. And we don't want to hurry these things up because people can change their minds, whether this is happening with you or one of your children or somebody close to you, a friend of yours, a sibling. This could even be your partner in business's personal life, where the obvious connotations of the same are taking effect. Week 3, we have the Two of Cups in reverse, and this is a card that indicates that we are no longer on the same page, that there is some level of harmony that is no longer present, that originally all parties were vested and now we don't have that anymore. And it's kind of funny because I started off these readings backwards, if you will, that I started them with Pisces first because I used to make a habit of starting with Aries, ending with Pisces, starting with Pisces, vice versa. And this time, for some reason, I just felt that it was imperative that I start with Pisces and work my way through the cycles until I get to Aries. And I felt that there was something that wasn't quite right about the way I felt. I didn't want to program myself with any ideas that something was going to be difficult or doomsday news with this. I just knew that I'd have to be in a certain state of mind to convey your message as appropriately as possible with as much understanding as I can get and translating it to you in the best possible way. So with that said, the Two of Cups, we've got even a friendship. This could be a family relationship that is just not working out. So often, Aries, we find that when we force issues, that we just want to argue our point, and who better to argue a point than Aries? You guys, get up there. You're in an adrenaline rush. You just want to make your point. You just want to conquer this thing. You just want to knock it out of the ballpark. You just want this over. But that's not the way everyone works. Some people are predisposed to being very passive, others aggressive. Some people would rather come at you from behind the scenes, while others would like to just square off in the middle of the ring. And so we can't really judge how people are going to react, but we do have to acknowledge that people react their own way. There is no right or wrong way to grieve or to reflect or to react or to become introspective. People have different wavelengths that only they understand about themselves, just as there are people that cannot understand themselves and need additional outsourced kind of help to get back on track or to really understand what's going on. And in this case, this feeling that you have is one that, as much as you feel that you're right, and I'm not telling you that you're not right, but as much as you feel convicted of a certain idea or perspective, you're probably going to have much better effect by washing your hands of your involvement with other people, by taking an objective perspective and looking at your own personal situations as if you were on the outside looking in. Now, the week of the Strength card here, the fourth week, the Strength in reverse is somewhat concerning in that, again, I believe your intentions are good, but that you feel like this just is something that I've got to power through. I've just got to get handled on my own, get out of my way, I'm going to fix it. That's somewhat bullish, but it really isn't the way to handle a delicate situation. And the reason why we could obviously surmise this is delicate is we're starting off with the Three of Swords. So the best advice I can give you at this point, because it's abundantly clear that it is trying to tie itself up, the loose ends are trying to just get out there, asking to be tied down. The universe is indicating that this is a major stage phase that is attempting to complete itself. And the best thing you can do at this time is to understand that as much as you would be able to, for example, grab the bull by the horns and get it under control, or handle a situation yourself and to whatever end, but via your own devices, correct and complete and or put to bed once and for all, you might want to just step back and, as I said, as I put it, wash your hands, extract yourself from the equation, let the relevant parties handle their parts, let the players play their roles as well, and sit back and allow it to be whatever it is, because it doesn't seem like it's directly related to you. It looks like it's in a close association to you, where if somebody calls me up and says, Rita, because you're crazy, because it's actually my wife and she's trying to divorce me and I'm in Kentucky and she's in Nebraska. Yeah, but it seems like that point that the choice is made almost without consideration of anyone but that own person's choices, motives, inclinations, motivations. And as unfair as it may seem, there are times when people just become utterly distraught with not being able to get a message across to the other person, i.e., let's just pick an example that's easy to understand. A husband is trying to end his relationship with his wife, And she keeps saying, no, you can't. I love you. You can't do this to us. And he says, you're not hearing me. I care for you, but I don't love you in that way anymore. I'm not doing this to us. This is what I need to do. And the woman is wringing her hands and continues with, but you don't understand. I love you. I've sacrificed everything for you. I've given birth to our beautiful children. We've been a family together. We've done this. We've gone through thick and thin. You can't do this. I won't let you. And dad over here, husband, says, I'm sorry for all of the above, but this is what I gotta do. And then it seems like it's so sudden, isn't it? And yet the little missus is having a hard time wrapping her head around this, whereas if she would step on the outside and get some perspective from other people that are able to be emotionally detached from it, are able to say, you know what, though, it sounds like you knew things weren't going well, and you've been able to even cite indications of this thing becoming stale, and where you guys tried in a second honeymoon and let's get the sitter for the kids, or have your mother, watch them so that we can go off, and yet it still fizzled out. Well, that could be the case for many people out there that really, of course, we can imagine of thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people having parallel experiences or very somewhat similar experiences, that this is just another one bites the dust kind of scenario. But here it just seems like I'm inclined to say that you are involved in a situation that is either not your own. Maybe it's Aunt Jill's, right? And maybe it's her divorce or her problems or, her financial issues. And that there you are somehow inserted, whether by circumstance because you live in the same house, or, because somebody included you in some decision-making process, and there you are. But I think the best thing to think about in reflective moments, when you can sit down and really just peacefully and calmly think about the situation as it is, whatever the status quo is, and say that you acknowledge that you may not be directly in line to maybe impartially be able to give an opinion, or that you really don't, you're not in line to be on the receiving end or the losing end of somebody's custody battle. If you could talk yourself through just staying out of it, then you would have better chances of helping the situation, at least by not involving yourself any further. Now, if this is a situation where you have no recourse, but you have to step in because it is your damn marriage, or it is your relationship, or this is your custody battle, or, this is your creative dispute with your business partners, then okay, that's understandable. But my suggestion is this. I think that it can be a fantastic Christmas. I think that there are some dynamics that are worth taking note of, but I don't believe that there's any way to change the status quo at this time. And with that, I suggest that you enjoy the holidays, enjoy your family, whatever the structure of your family is, enjoy it for the moment. If you don't have one and it's a dispute with some business partners, I can understand that. Then enjoy your holiday anyway, regardless of those stresses. At some point, you've got to put the stress aside and take a few days for yourself anyway. They'll be built in for you. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So think about these moments where you can take the time to reflect on what is the real reason why you are either A, inserting yourself into somebody else's business, or that they are inserting you into it, that you may not even recognize that somebody is manipulating your involvement. And likewise, if this is your personal situation, it might be worth it to put it aside and just let things be what they are at this time, because no matter what, the universe knows exactly what we need. I truly believe that the universe is completely sentient in its knowing what we need, what lessons, what situations promote our growth, and which situations are no longer relevant and therefore need to slough off or need to be allowed to decay in their own time and way. With that said, week 5 with the World card in reverse, this is a hopeful card because it's showing us that this is a major cycle, if not huge part of your life that is almost over. And what I mean by that is that it's moving you now into the next phase of understanding, maturity, and even, what's the word that I want to use for this? I just had it and I lost it. Well, that for what it's worth here, now you are growing into a stage of yourself that couldn't be spiritually possible even without some of these issues that have taken shape within the last few weeks. This is a very relatively new situation in terms of your involvement. I don't see this really becoming a thing at the earliest, maybe back in November, when you actually stepped into the realm of whatever this was. It's almost like I see you crossing a boundary from one point to the next where you can physically say, well, I was here and now I am there. And that could obviously be hypothetically, theoretically, metaphorically. And so this is something that I think that you've been able to define the location where in your maturity process this wasn't the way it was before, and then suddenly it becomes an issue in its own context, and it's something that you can define and say, at this point that I ended up here is when this stage happens. So my suggestion is for you to enjoy the holidays, like I said, and to enjoy every moment, every interaction with your family, what you consider to be your family, even if it's your pet goldfish, and understand that there's nothing in life that's guaranteed. There isn't even a guarantee that your body will know how to breathe on its own. There are so many things that happen that we take for granted that the body is doing magically in a way that we're not even consciously controlling. That, can you imagine if we had to remember, even people like me, even though my hair is not naturally this dark, that as it were, I might forget to breathe. And at the same time, what I want to offer to you is that this cycle will wrap itself up, and you'll see how through either process of natural attrition or by some voluntary means that people symbolically or literally wash their hands from responsibility to a situation that either isn't their own or isn't relevant, and at the same time, while they're spending that energy in somebody else's business, they didn't notice that something in their own personal lives was actually suffering, that there was an obvious deterioration of the personal life at the moment. Like, let's say your sister's going through something, and you then are putting all of your effort into questioning to her husband, why are you doing this to my sister? And then before you know it, you've spent a month on this, and your wife is like, well, I'm moving on because apparently the kids and I are no longer paramount to this person. Let your sister handle it. Be there if she needs advice, or be there if she wants to solicit some direction from you. So with that said, what I want you to know, Aries, is that this is going to be a really great, potentially very romantic holiday season. So make sure that you spend time loving the person that you're committed to. If you're out to meet new people, that would be great too. I can tell you something now, that if any of your friends involve you in their relationships, or that somehow if you demand that your friends involve themselves in yours, you're already kind of barking up the wrong Christmas tree. And what I'd rather see you do is send me pictures of your holiday adventures and of the thing you did here and there. Maybe you have a great time skiing. Maybe you had a great time with the family down in the hood. Maybe there was something there that really brought up memories from the past that are worth creating in terms of tradition for the future. And with that, I leave you, and I'll be thinking of you and praying for a wonderful, wonderful season for you and yours.